everybody, I'm Gigi. I'm a senior at USF, and I'm also really excited to be helping out with Pranic Festival. It's this August, the 8th through the 10th. We hope you'll join us. Here's our wonderful host, Dr. Edith, and I invite you to join our conversation today as we figure out a little bit more about what exactly is Pranic, who are some of these beyond amazing speakers we'll be having, and what are some of the topics that we'll be experiencing. So to start, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Edith? Maybe like how you got involved in the wellness world and what led you to create Pranic Festival.
Hi everybody, my name's Dr. Edith Ubuntu Chan. This is our Pranic Festival mascot, Kabreem Chan Halleck. Hi Kabreem. Hi everybody. So I am a holistic medicine practitioner in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm probably like a lot of you guys, just a human being who loves to explore and get the best out of life. Well, in Chinese medicine school, all of us study things like Qigong and Tai Chi and yoga, and in Qigong class, I had my first kind of sudden awakening experience. And from that experience, I realized that there's a lot more to life than what meets the eye. But to make a long story short, essentially I realized that there is a beautiful, blissful state of oneness that lies behind the physical world. That the non-physical world is, in essence, really our true natural state, and the physical world is just one dimension of life. But after that awakening experience, I came back into my body, having a whole different reference point for what is possible. And in some sense, it made me feel, I would say homesick is a good term to describe. I felt homesick. I felt that the state of bliss and joy and oneness with all of creation was my real home. And this kind of illusion of being separate beings in the physical world, I couldn't make sense of it anymore. So it turned me into a seeker. I started exploring many different spiritual books and different practices, yogic practices, Qigong practices. I tried past life regression hypnotherapy. I explored the work of Byron Katie. And so along this journey, I started finding answers to integrate, to realize that paradise, or this ecstatic state, it doesn't have to be something that I escape the physical world to go and experience. That over time I start to realize how we can actually bring that state into the even very mundane, ordinary physical world to make the ordinary completely ecstatic and extraordinary. So on this journey, I started exploring different practices, and in my Qigong practice, I came across something they call Bigu. Have you heard of Bigu?
No.
So Bigu is a Chinese term for this idea that essentially some people just translate it as fasting.
Okay.
But many Qigong masters and yogis can go for long periods of time through the alchemy of their breathwork and meditation practice. They can shift their body into a different state of not necessity of the physical food. Which, when I first came across that, I just thought, that's crazy.
Ludicrous.
Yeah, there's no way. But this is in the internet days. You start to go on Google and look everything up, and so I just started looking up, like, wow, are there really people that can live without physical food? And so when I started doing the research, I came across Jasmine Moheen, who was one of our guests at the Pranic Festival. So I saw that in the 90s, she was featured on 60 Minutes, which is totally mainstream media.
Right, yeah.
And they did some experiments on her, and the long and short of that show is that they tried to make her look like a dumb blonde bimbo. That was just
Which is
like
the opposite of who she is.
Yeah, but you know, those of us who are sensitive and have good kind of inner compass, when you watch a show like that, I could really see through that agenda that they were, I think for liability reasons, is pretty dangerous for them to make a show on mainstream media to say, wow, it's possible to not eat physical food. But for me, I was able to see right through to know that she is just pure sincerity and love. And even though they try to say rude things to her, make her look like a fool, she was so gracious and so centered in her truth that really blew my mind. That her presence amidst that kind of being challenged in that way, that was what really made an impression on me. So that got me really curious. I still, in my mind, thought, well, maybe it's possible, maybe it's not possible. And for me, I love to eat food. Why would I want to not eat? But the fact that this possibility existed really made me curious. So I started doing more research, more Googling, and there's this beautiful Vietnamese saint named Supreme Master Ching Hai. And she has an amazing website with all these interesting, inspirational interviews. And I just ferocious appetite, watching every interview. And there's ones with Jazz Moheen, and that's where I found Ellie Tom, another speaker, and from Ohio, Oberon from Brazil, Akai from Ecuador, and Camilla, who at the time was living in Ecuador, but she's actually from the United States. I found all these amazing beings on Supreme Master Ching Hai's website.
So that was the original connection.
Yes, and this is probably in 2009. So I just thought, this is nuts. All these people, all walks of life, they all, through different yogic practices, qigong practices, some with no practice at all, that, just come to this realization that wow, it is possible for some human beings under certain circumstances to live in this state in which there's the non-necessity of food. So I really fell in love with a lot of these speakers.
It's hard not to.
With his bright, pure, innocent smile. And Akai and Camilla, they were featured as fire dancers and artists in these shows, and I just thought, wow, those are fun people. I'd like to be friends with them someday. I mean, I hope they don't mind that I eat, but, they just look like the kind of person you want to invite to a fun party. And Ellie Tom also, I just loved his sense of humor, and I love that, he lives in the Midwest where he didn't have a huge community of support and not a lot of funds to go far away to these like exotic meditation retreats, and he was able to find this truth within himself. I was really inspired by that.
Which kind of validates the whole thing even more.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, all of these speakers on these shows made the point that actually this is just one small facet of this experience of life, that in this state of connection and oneness with the chi, the prana, you can tune your consciousness in such a way that many new possibilities are existing for you, and the non-necessity of food may or may not be the key thing. So I gravitated towards that. End of 2011, I saw that Akai had developed something called the 8-day process.
Do explain.
So backtrack a little bit. As I understand, Jazz Moheen back in the, I think, early 90s, I understand that she was given divine guidance for a process of initiation called the 21-day process, which I have never done, so I can't really speak to the details of it. But it was at the end of this 21 days of fasting, meditation, and prayer that she came into this much deeper, more profound alignment of her body, mind, emotions, and spirit, where she really felt like she could surrender to the divine flow of love within herself. And as a side effect of that, she discovered that all her hungers went away. Her physical, emotional, mental, spiritual hungers went away, and she didn't need to eat physical food anymore. And when she shared honestly and openly this experience, she attracted the attention of the media and some really good accurate portrayals of her, and some where they tried to make her seem like she was nuts. Right, but
21 days seems kind of extreme, so the 8-day process is similar?
well, I think there's so many different practices and ways in which people can come into alignment of all aspects of themselves. And for me, I also felt like 21-day process at that time in my life sounded a little too nuts, to fast for that many days. I didn't feel ready for it. So I was excited to find out that Akai developed something called the 8-day process, which is an 8-day of breath work and fasting and meditation and different practices that he has developed as really as a result of him and Camilla going through the 21-day process themselves also. I, up till this point, had no interest whatsoever in stopping to eat. But I saw that Akai's 8-day process had a lot of what looked like really powerful breathwork practices, and because I've been practicing Qigong and yoga for a number of years, I really wanted to learn to empower myself with new tools for staying healthy and just becoming the best of myself, right? So I contacted Akai over email because I knew that they were living in Ecuador. And I was so excited. I thought, wow, I don't have to go to Ecuador to visit you. I can do it over Skype.
Right. The modern era.
Yeah, but it turned out that the next Skype-led 8-day process was full. And so the subsequent one was going to be in February 2012. And so I was a little disappointed I had to wait, but I went ahead and waited. And inside I was thinking, good, I can learn all these breathing practices, but because it's a Skype process, I can just, eat the whole time, and he doesn't have to know that I'm not really fasting.
Eat it.
So, come late January, I'm exchanging emails with Akai, and it turns out that him and Camilla moved out of Ecuador to Northern California, to Sebastopol, 1 hour north of here. And so we exchanged some emails, and it was just an amazing gift of my lifetime that I ended up being able to do this process in person. And most of his processes are with groups, and they tend to be popular these days, so they can sell out pretty fast. But in that particular case, it just so happened that I got the incredible honor to have a one-on-one experience in the 8-day process.
Wow.
And to my amazing surprise, I felt totally just overflowing with joy through this breathing practices and some really powerful technologies that he's developed for reprogramming our being, reprogramming our neurocellular networks, and just letting go of the blocks that we all hold from maybe uncomfortable memories or traumas or the genetics that we have incarnated into through our family lineage. Those of you who are interested, I've posted my video diaries from my 8-day process experience, which seems like a long time ago now. It was, 3.5 years ago. And it profoundly changed my life. And the food piece was just a tiny little piece because, as you know, I went into it with the intention of eating and drinking the whole time, and I love my body. I want it to be the most healthy possible. But it shocked me that through the power of these meditation and breathwork technologies and some other practices we do, I had the experience of the complete cessation of my hunger. So there was 72 hours of no food, not even a drop of water. And I'm in civilization, so if I'm hungry, I could go eat something.
Right.
If I was thirsty, there's running water, I could drink. But the necessity for the food and drink just vanished with the breathwork practice. And at the end of that 8-day process, I was a changed person. And I was really happy that it changed me in a really positive way. The good parts of myself that I wanted to keep stayed intact, but the grumpy parts of myself got reprogrammed. So in essence, I really feel that it made me a much better human being and much more effective human being with without so many internal conflicts to block my path in life. And I got so excited that I started sharing with the community, and I realized, wow, a lot of people are looking for something like this. And so I invited Akai and Camilla to do some different workshops, and they've been extremely popular. And then I was able to make contact with Oberon in 2012 because...
Yeah, how did that happen?
Well, Oberon has been leading the 21-day process in Brazil for special beings who feel really called to do the 21-day process. And one of these beings is a woman named Tina, who is from the United States, but she was at that time traveling around the world, living in Spain and different other countries. And so she somehow found me on the internet and called me up and say, hey, would you like to meet Oberon? He's a really bright, shining soul, and in some ways really similar
Small
to
world,
Akai and Camilla. And so I had the amazing honor of meeting Oberon. We fell head over heels in
Instant
love.
connection.
Yeah, with his he's just like such a breath of fresh air and such a bright, shining soul. And wow, this journey is just, as I reflect on it, it's really, you couldn't possibly plan a magical journey like that. After my 8-day process, I started feeling interested in exploring what Jasmine had to offer, which is that she stopped offering the 21-day process, but she offers a darkness meditation retreat in Thailand.
Oh yeah, so what exactly would a darkness retreat entail?